Hello everyone, kingbullet here with another episode of Subnautica. Now this episode is being recorded one behind, if that makes sense. What I'm going to be doing in this episode is should be 31 on my channel. I've already recorded 32, and I had this one recorded, but the file ended up going all sorts of crazy on me, and I couldn't use it. There was no way that I could use it, and unfortunately it's the file that I explored the Precursor base and the thermal plant and everything like that. So I'm going to take a quick run through with that and then read over the stuff that I found. I did find, I don't have it on me, but I did find, I got the ion battery and the ion power cells, and I found the blue artifact. I'll show all of that, or at least where I found it. Another thing that's missed because of that is these couple things here. I'm pretty sure. No, this is the thing that was missed in the last video here.
Here to me.
So that was a Voice of the Deep update saying "here to me," which is kind of cool. I wish I would have been able to keep that recording, but like I said, it was too bad, and it showed a face with like 4 eyes, and I spent like 2 hours trying to do it, and it was ridiculous. But I'm gonna do a self-scan because I haven't done one of those in a while. Infected. That's all you're gonna tell me? Fantastic. And for sake of, I don't want to start overlapping some of the stuff that I've done in 32 and keep this where it is. Like, you'll notice that I have 225 for my O2. That is because of episode 32. Which, again, I apologize deeply for. And this is still going to go up as 31. Just because I feel like if I would put this one up as 32 and the other one up as 31, it'd be like, oh my god, what happened? I have no idea what happened. So I want to try to keep the flow that I had going, while also, you know, trying to not miss anything. And to do that, I have to do something like this. Like I said, I'm really gonna be like a lengthy sort of not a lengthy episode, a shorter episode, and it's gonna be mostly just me talking. I'm gonna go back and re-explore the Precursor base, and then the episode 32. I hope I'm going in the right direction. I should be. Yeah, I think I hear the beaches here. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I couldn't just cut it out and act like it was all fine. I got to check, because okay, it sounded like it was right there, but I guess not. I was going the wrong way. That's what I get for not paying attention. Sorry, we'll be there in a jiffy. I'll probably cut out the teleport thing, because I know that's, at least for me, really bright, and it's really, really long generally. And I don't want to sit there and, you know, try to talk through that. But yeah, I apologize again, guys. I'm going to try my best to make this as painless as possible while keeping up with everything that was going on. Why is there no Precursor base? There you are. And it really sucks for me, because I spent hours upon hours upon hours trying to record that episode, and there were so many problems. Like, it was just bugs after bugs after bugs, and it looks like I'm gonna hit bugs with this one again. Yep, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna hit some of the bugs that I hit last time. Um, Thankfully, there's not too much that I need to worry about if the game crashes. I just kind of have to take a run through the base and kind of read everything. And even if the game crashes, I can come back right back in my base, and I'll be able to read everything like that. So it's not that big of a deal, which, you know, last time it was. Like, watch, whenever I get to this point, the water will still be in here. And I will be swimming to the elevator. Oh! Oh yeah, water's in here. This is one of the bugs that I've been hitting, and usually every time I hit this with the bug, my game ends up crashing. But that was when I was trying to save my progress there and make sure that I didn't get thrown into oblivion and have to do all this again, or I would not save and I would rush superfluously, and I would hit too many bugs. Like, I don't know if it'll happen, but I'll show you guys. The teleporter might not be there when I go through. I'll turn around and it'll be just an empty room. But I would let those stack up too much and it would crash my game. So I'm hoping that I don't get a crash before I explore the base. And then I'll kind of explain the things that I talked about, but I'll do that whenever I get there. So be right back. Alright, so I'm back. I'll show me getting hurt, but see what I mean? The teleporter isn't even there. And it should pop up. There it is. Which is ridiculously crazy. But, so I mined up the ion crystal whenever I tried to record it. And I decided to take a little bit of a break with trying to explore the underground here, which I don't know how long that break will last. And I'll get into that here in a second, but this is the first door that I opened, and the blue key was just right here. It was perfect. And that's obviously the way that I came in, and where the warper is probably still sitting. I hate that thing. Here's another way that I went, and I found that there's a second entrance, which I'm pretty sure I actually went right past this and didn't even realize it, which kind of sucks, because I spent all that time, and yeah, I died when I was trying to get in here originally, and I didn't have to die. I literally just walked right past it. Did I actually kill you? I think I did. No, you're still alive.
Welcome aboard, Captain. Welcome.
Alright, you can say welcome aboard, Captain, all you want, but I want to kill this thing. I didn't kill this thing before, and I just realized that it was sitting there. Whoa, whoa. Whoopsie, that was the wrong button. Wait, where'd you go? It's crawling on the prawn suit. It's on the prawn suit. Or it was. I like how the prawn suit crouches down too. Where'd it go? That's really weird. I didn't know that. I didn't do that before. I will say that. That's kind of cool. But we're gonna head down here now. This is the second door, and if you guys remember where I found the ion crystal to activate the teleporter originally, ion crystal was right there. But this is the thermal plants. And I was able to scan this section, and there's a data terminal here and here, then another data terminal right in here. That's not access to download data. I think that's just a glitch, but it's a really wicked looking place, and what it does which I'll read the PDAs to kind of explain what it does whenever I get out of there. It's a little loud in there. It's kind of crazy with what it actually does. And I went on this whole explanation thing, and I'll probably do it again. You know, every time I come back up, you're standing. I leave and you're crouching, and then I come back up and you're standing. What is this? Are you alive and I don't know about it? I have to sneeze. Oh boy, I gotta sneeze. I don't wanna. Alright. So, I'll stand right here and read the PDAs that I got. Data downloads, alien data. This is the ion crystal data. This is just telling me this alien data reveals some of the mechanisms by which the designers were able to contain and harness such vast amounts of energy within the ion crystals discovered around their facilities. Improved battery and power cell blueprints which take advantage of this information are now available for fabrication, which is cool. This is what I did a lot of explaining for, and I'm gonna read it all and then do the explaining, unlike last time, which will probably be less time. This system converts thermal energy to electric current at 90% efficiency. Some of this energy is chemically stored on-site, while unknown mechanisms appear to be transferring most of it to remote locations elsewhere on the planet. 30% stored on-site for emergency use. 30% ground-to-air quarantine enforcement platform, which is the big gun, which is where we go whenever we go through that. 22% to primary containment facility, which I will get into in a minute. 11% to the disease research facility, which is that second precursor base that we went to. And then 7% to self-warping quarantine enforcer units, which are the warpers. The system appears to be fully automated and, given current understanding of the mechanisms involved, uninterruptible, which I still hate, because I wish I could interrupt it, because I'd turn off the stupid warpers. I hate them so much. They're terrible. I hate them. But what I explained before, and what I think is really interesting, is it's going at a 90% thermal efficiency rating. And in my opinion, I'm thinking that they're talking about how much energy it can generate and how much energy it's producing. Most efficiency ratings go off of how much energy it has generated and how much energy it produces. The difference being the amount that has been produced, there's waste in the production. Say for every one rotation of a water wheel on a river, you get 10 watts of energy. If you only have a power cell that can store 5 watts of energy, that's 5 watts of energy wasted. That's 50% efficiency gone. Now, of that 5 watts of energy, if you use 4 watts of that energy and 1 watt is lost in the transfer process, you are operating at 80% efficiency, which seems like a lot, but overall that's a lot of waste. If you upgrade that to hundreds of watts or kilowatts or anything like that, you're wasting a lot of energy. This is saying it converts thermal energy to electric current at 90% efficiency. That's saying you have thermal energy and you are collecting all possible energy from that thermal energy that this power plant is pulling off of, converting it into the electrical current, and then sending it out to these bases or these places, whatever, and you are only losing 90%. On top of that, where a lot of that percentage may be going is when the precursors were alive, you had tons of energy being used because of all of these bases and the warpers and whatever else that they were doing, there were tons of energy being used, right? Now there's no energy being used except for basic functions of the bases, the precursor bases, and an occasional gun shot from the ground-to-air quarantine enforcement platform. So the on-site storage is packed full. So it is now generating energy with no place to store it, just like the battery scenario. It's generating a ton of energy, but it's just being permeated back and it's not being used. It's energy converts into heat, so it's heating up, which essentially could explain why it's not saying. Why is it not saying? It usually says the temperature. Let me go in here. There we go. That's why, if you look at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, it's at 49.9 degrees Celsius, which is hot, really hot. I believe 0 degrees Celsius is freezing, which is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So you are 50 degrees Celsius above freezing. I don't know what the melting point for Celsius is. I would have to look that up. But you are past O2 melting point. And I'm pretty certain that it's roughly 18 to 26 degrees Celsius is right around body temperature, which is 98.6 generally. So that kind of gives you an idea of how crazy this jump is. And so it's producing a lot of heat. Not so much that it'll kill you, obviously, since we're in here, but the heat is permeating and it's generally being pushed outside of the facility. And it's just rejoining the heat and essentially recycling itself, which is kind of cool in a way, and it's not going to be put into the efficiency ratio, but it's essentially recycling itself, because we're in a thermal plant. It's collecting heat as energy and turning that energy into power, which I imagine is in wattage, and the stuff that's wasted, that's not used, is wasted through the creation of heat, and that heat just recycles itself back into the system. It'll eventually be reused for the power, which is kind of cool. And then fossil data. Yes. This geological data was recorded from the volcanic rock that was excavated to construct this facility. It was possible to extrapolate a number of key trends. The alien records recorded data on indigenous organic remains originating between 10,000 and 1,000 years ago. The life forms on record feature an unusually low overlap with those encountered so far on Ocean World. Soil samples from 1,000 years ago contain 300% higher concentrations of organic remains than the soil average. Data supports a mass extinction event killing off a majority of species and forcing rapid adaptation amongst many of the survivors. Causes unknown. Plausible theories include fluctuating environmental conditions, disease, meteor impact, or artificial interference. What's interesting about this is, up until I read this, I thought that the coronavirus, which is what we're infected with, what the planet's infected with, originated and started like 10,000 years ago, and it was about 7,000 years ago that everything started dying off and eventually did die off. What this is saying is that 1,000 years ago is right around when everything decomposed. Now, give it about 100 years, roughly. I don't know what the decomposition rates are for this planet, or for the decomposition rates with the coronavirus in it, or anything like that. But roughly 100 years average is when the soil starts regaining what they call organic remains, but the nutrients from the decomposing organisms, organic remains. So it was within the last 1,000 years that this entire planet went to crap. And it pretty much was a disease, the coronavirus, and then artificial interference. The precursors tried to cure the coronavirus, and what we learned at the second precursor base is they had I think it was a sea dragon leviathan egg. The sea dragon leviathan said, no, you're not keeping my egg, and ended up just destroying that entire facility. I'm pretty sure it was the sea dragon. And with them destroying that entire facility, it released the coronavirus into the entire ocean and onto the entire world, and that's where the quarantine procedures happen, which is really cool. And then this is what everybody's pretty much waiting for. This terminal appears to be controlling the delivery of a substantial portion of the power plant's energy to a vast facility elsewhere on the planet. Calculations indicate the facility is located less than 1 kilometer south from the thermal plant in a chasm that exceeds depths so far navigated. That is talking about, I'm going to go back through the teleporter now. That is talking about the last precursor base, which is really cool. We'll get back to that once I'm through the teleporter. Getting hurt again coming through there. I don't understand why, but that one isn't glitched out, thankfully. So I'm just going to go back, and I'm going to talk while I go back. So, it's really interesting. We're getting more into the realization that this world, if we would have been stranded on it, or even if we would have tried to slingshot around this world, like is what Aurora tried to do originally. They were just slingshotting around the world using the gravitational pull to try and get further out into the solar system with using minimal gas to set up a Altera warp gate, which ties into what I believe I talked about in a previous episode, with how they can unknown worlds can truly make something huge out of this universe that they've created. But if the Aurora had arrived 1,000 years sooner, roughly, or maybe give it about 1,300 years sooner, that would give it time for the Sea Dragon Leviathan to bust open the disease research facility, the coronavirus to be released, and the quarantine procedures to go into effect, all within, we'll say, 100-year span, and then the decomposition and stuff like that. So we'll say anywhere from 13 to 1,500 years earlier, this game wouldn't have happened. Which seems like a lot, but in the long and short of it, 13 to 1,500 years is not long at all. You know, in the eyes of us as humans, we live for about 100 years. I think the average now is about 84 years old now is what we get to, but the oldest person alive I think is like 115 or something. Yeah, I know we don't live that long, but 1,500 years ago, for Earth, the world started to build itself for the humans. You know, it's not like hugely major where it was 1,500 years ago, the dinosaurs reigned, then they died, and then we took over. No, it's still a significant amount of time, but it's really small. You know, not enough time for an evolutionary event to happen. It's not enough time for a rebuild after a disaster to happen. So we are in the literal cusp of time when the world went to crap and it hasn't figured out how to heal itself, or it hasn't had the life on it die to the point where it can rebuild itself. It's in the process of dying, but it has not died, which is really interesting if you think about it. I don't know, I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to the attention to detail, but I know what some of you guys might be asking: why did I leave there and come back here? Well, the long and short of it is truly because I'm going to wait to go to the last base. Not only in episode 32, we'll go into this a lot deeper. Not only do I need a little bit of a hiatus from the terrible frame rates, but also, in a way, there's still some stuff up in this area that I could really do, and it would be worthwhile for me to do. You know, for starters, I want to try to go over to the King's Cruiser and start getting some of my stuff back. And like I said, I'll talk about this later. But I want to, maybe try to set up another forward base, maybe up against the Aurora. That way I have a base when I'm in there, and if I need to get something, or if I need to make something or whatever, I can be right there for it. I might even make a small base out in the entrance to the Lost River. I want to go back and get the Little Prince, get the or check out the last of the Degassi. I want to learn, which, speaking of the Degassi, they were here before us, but after the extinction event, or even, hold on, come on, frame rate. Alright, Degassi survivors. Here we go. So this is really, really, really interesting, because this kind of ties in to the what we found at the thermal plant. And I didn't actually go over this originally, and I just thought of this. Bart, which is the captain's son, said, "I messed up badly this time. It's been 2 days since the attack. We never should have left this island. I shouldn't have done what they said. We shouldn't have gone so deep. We're not wanted down there. They don't trust us, and I can see why. I could see it, and they couldn't, and now they're gone, and I'm up here alone. I deserve to die here." I didn't know what he was talking about before. I have a feeling that Bart and Paul, and I think the mercenary was Marguerite or something like that. I have a feeling that they were here while the Precursors were, I guess, still alive. It was after the Sea Dragon attack, because the coronavirus was already released. That's talked about in one of these. I don't remember which one. Curious Discovery? No. It's talked about in one of these. Milady. Yeah, in the suit, biometrics were sick. So the coronavirus was released. But it hasn't taken the toll on the planet like it has in right now. I have a feeling the Precursors were alive, And that's what he was talking about. The precursors knew that they were here. And that also kind of makes me think, where was it? Where was the original one? 9 new biological subjects designated. Hunting and analyzing, sharing subject locations with other agents. Now, that was day 91 for me, which I've been here for a lot of days, if you think about it. But it's kind of interesting to think about. I'm sure that was the Aurora survivors, but I kind of feel like there are still precursors alive and holding on somehow, and they've sent out this message saying, hey, there's 9 survivors from the Aurora crew, hunt them down and kill them, which I don't know how many life pods there are. Let me see. There's mine, life pod 12, 3, 6, 0 life signs in life pod 4 so far. 17, 13, 19, which 13 had 2 people in it, so we'll count that. 19, and that's it. So that's 8. So I guess we'll count 9 for life pod 4. That's 9 people who we know of survived the crash and were communicating with each other, which is crazy because these guys picked that up and went after them. And at the beginning, my guy must have been knocked out for a couple of days, and this was already sent out and I didn't know about it, or I'm just the unluckiest guy in the world and could never run across any of these guys. But this must have been sent out, and it took this many days for and getting through this so many precursor bases to realize what this said, because 9 of us survived. Now only 1 is unaccounted for. That would be me in this game, obviously. So that's really, really, really cool. They very pristine attention to detail with that. And so I have a feeling somehow, in some way, somewhere, precursors are alive. Maybe not like fully alive and fully aware of what's going on, but they're alive somehow. And I'm sure they're still trying to figure out how to cure the coronavirus. And the Degassi crew were here before the precursors fully died out, and Bart picked up that there were still aliens alive. What are you doing, Dancer? And he knew about it, but he didn't know how to tell his dad or Marguerite. And something attacked their base, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure that's what it said. Something attacked their base. Yeah, he said it was 2 days since the attack. He went back to the island. I found this on the floating island. I don't know. I think this one right here, or I'm pretty sure actually, where the little prince is where that they were attacked at, which is why I don't have the PDAs. I was gonna see if I had any PDAs about the attack, but I don't. I'm pretty sure that was their last base. It had to have been, timeline-wise, which is curious and interesting to think about, because that base was pretty messed up. It was broken on one side, it looked a little unstable, and there were 2 entrances versus the normal 1 entrance of the Degassi bases. So it's pretty cool to think about, and the story that is created and driven here is getting so in depth and so in detail now. Like, as much as this game lags and drives me insane, and I wish I could just, talk to the creators and be like, fix it, and start yelling and screaming and trying to get them to fix it as fast as possible, which I'm sure they are. They said before that they have a team dedicated to trying to fix the lag problems and everything. But, on top of all of that, it's getting to the point where I'm getting close to the end, and I really don't want to end it yet. I have the Degassi to do. I want to try to get back to the King's Cruiser, maybe set up a small little outpost right next to the Void, and do like little strafe runs as fast as possible, see if I can get some of my resources back. At least some of the ion crystals, because they're a dime a dozen now. But I've talked your guys' ear off enough. I'm sorry this episode was literally filled with just me talking, and that you guys missed out on my vast wander at that thermal plant. I loved that thermal plant. It was awesome. I'm hoping, I'm trying not to give too many spoilers. I'm hoping that in the future episodes, I'm going to definitely get to that last Precursor base. One way or another, I will get there. Mark my words. I don't have much left on that Cyclops that could be destroyed. The biggest things that I'm worried about is the prawn suit, which I might not even take with me. I might leave in that base and then come pick it up later. And the pressure module, or the hull module. That's really the two things that I'm worried about at this point. Everything else is easily re-gotten. It's out of titanium, or all the resources are actually gone. It's just got a couple power cells in it. So that Cyclops is expendable. It can be destroyed. I don't care. So that's what I might do. I might just take the Cyclops to the next Precursor base, leave the prawn suit, since the prawn suit's maxed out and I'll need it later and I don't want to try to rebuild it, and take the expendable Cyclops. But I don't know. There's a lot that I gotta do. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please smack that like button with your Warhammers, and let me know what you guys think of, the possible timelines versus the Precursors being killed off, or if they're still around. Let me know if you guys think that the Degassi were around while the Precursors were still alive and thriving. Let me know what you guys think about all that, because I'm interested to hear what other people's opinions are on all of that is. But thank you guys again for watching. Share us around with your friends. Help these King's forces grow. You guys know what we're going for. We're trying to make a difference. We're trying to do good for the world. Trying to raise money for charities. All that other good stuff. So share it around with your friends. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, whatever you guys have to share it on. And as always, I will see you guys in the next battle.